Fair use. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing.
Before we start the video, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I appreciate all the support I received from you. And as always, all the information in my videos is rumors taken from the internet or the street. I'm not saying the information is fact.
Pick your mans up.
And just because people used to come through shooting at us every day. And this block, words can't even explain, man. Can't even explain.
Yeah, man. Little school Melly, 05 YM Money. Young Money, man. They in the building.
600 boy LA, man. LA Capone, man. Get it to him, man. OC2 boys, man. Team
Number 9, man. Number 9 shooter, you hear me?
Hey, bitch, little bitch. Yeah. Fuck is wrong with you? Hey, I am Brick Squad. Brick Squad, boy. Fuck is you talking about, boy?
You have to be willing to die or go to jail for 100 years if that's the lane that you're stepping in. You have to understand that whether you 15, 16, you got to think like a man. You know what I'm saying?
So don't be in it. Oh, you're not? Why does everybody say you're only 16 years old?
They say what they want to say.
How old are you?
300.
The story of the war between 051 Young Money and THF46. 051 YM, short for Young Money, is one of the most notorious crews on the south side of Chicago. They've built a reputation for violence, with a high body count and a solid number of members who are known shooters. Some of their conflicts have involved THF46 members in particular. Most of 051's members come out of the Mickey Cobras, but they also have BDs and GDs in the mix, and some of the older heads even came up as Stones. Unlike a lot of other Chicago gangs, their turf is pretty large. While the average set controls around 2 square miles, 051 holds down close to 3. Their territory stretches across spots like Hyde Park, Kenwood, and Eastern Grant, which they share with Drexside. It took them some time to really establish themselves, but by 2006 and 2007 they were officially on the map. That's when tensions started heating up between YM and THF, setting off the conflicts that would define their reputation. THF46 is a gang based around 45th and 46th, stretching from Drexel to Woodlawn. They're best known for their deadly feud with 051 Young Money, which turned into one of the bloodiest and most notorious wars in Chicago. THF has a reputation as one of the most dangerous sets in the city, with older members responsible for a long trail of bodies. They're also known as 46 Terror, and the name THF itself stands for Trigger Happy Family. The beef between 051 and THF started young. Their shorties would clash in school and on the streets, and like a lot of rivalries in Chicago, those small fights grew into something far bigger. Once guns came into the picture, it was only a matter of time before someone lost their life. In this case, the first to be killed was a member of 051. His name was Carlos Mariels, better known as Los. On March 13, 2008, Los was shot multiple times at 4800 South Drexel Boulevard. He was only 20 years old. After the shooting, he was rushed to Northwestern Memorial Hospital but was pronounced dead at 3:28 in the afternoon. THF members Franco and Boo Boo were alleged to be behind the killing, with Franco later convicted for the murder. That moment marked the start of a bloody war. THF has since built a reputation for being ruthless, striking down a lot of their enemies and keeping heavy pressure on their ops. Some of the more well-known names to come out of THF include Rome, who is known for allegedly shooting King Louis from Mubu in the head and is also credited with killing T. Berg and Shot Mac from 051 Young Money. THF has strong alliances on the streets, which puts them in a more powerful position than many other sets. Their allies include O Block, Lamron, 600, and THF44. All of them share a common enemy in 051 Young Money. Even though 051 and O Block haven't officially exchanged bodies, many believe King Von played a role in the murder of Lil Marc from 051. Within THF itself, one of the top figures is Bezu, who even gets a shout-out from Dirk in his track No Auto Dirk. THF is deeply entrenched in their conflicts, and that constant aggression has cemented their reputation across Chicago. Their main ops include 051, SKD, Mubu, Touch Money, 757, Met Boys, Suwu TTB, and Mob. Back when Melly, DB, Motor, and Duck were alive, they were the glue that connected their respective sets, 051, Taekwon World, Jaro City, and STL/EBT. They all used to hang out heavy, especially Melly, Duck, and Motor. DB often posted up in STL territory since he was close with Duck and it was right nearby. Even though those sets had their own history of problems and differences, they were tight during that time, with 051 and STL in particular linking up because of their shared enemies. That bond didn't last. The turning point came with the death of Melly. In September 2019, he was at a house party with Jaro City members and FBG Duck, celebrating after one of Duck's friends passed away. People warned Melly to be careful because not everyone in the room had love for him. But he didn't take it seriously and kept partying. Then 0078 from Taekwon World pulled the trigger, shooting Melly in front of everyone. The bad blood between them had history. Before that night, Melly had sprayed up Nate's house after a dice game, even though Nate's baby mother and newborn child were inside. Nobody got hit, but that lit a fire for Nate to get revenge. Melly's death hit 051 hard. He wasn't just one of their most respected shooters, he was a longtime member and a brother to many. His loss made it clear retaliation was coming. Not long after, 051 YM struck back by killing Richie Jerk from Taekwon World in 2020, after Richie exposed his location. That murder officially ended any chance of peace, and since STL was tied so closely with Taekwon World, their alliance with 051 crumbled too. Things only fell apart further after Duck was killed. Back to the timeline, THF were the first ones to start catching bodies. As mentioned earlier, the opening shot in the war was the murder of Loss, carried out by Franco. Later that same year, in September 2008, Zico was killed. He had just gotten a haircut and ran into rival members from 46 at the barbershop, where a fight broke out. Afterward, he was invited to grab food at McDonald's, but on his way home, he was ambushed and shot multiple times. Zico died the next day. The killer was allegedly Aki from THF46. He fled to Indianapolis but was eventually caught and sentenced to 27 years. In Zico's honor, his people created Zico World. Retaliation came in 2011 when 051 Montana, one of Zico's close friends, got back at THF by allegedly killing 2 of their members. On April 8th, Montana, along with Rose and Kiddo, is believed to have killed Quint. Then, on July 16th, another THF affiliate was taken out. Quint's death cut especially deep. He was originally from 5th Ward and was the brother of Rome, one of THF's most feared members. This loss fueled Rome's hatred for 051 and intensified the war. Just 3 days after Quint was killed, THF struck back and shot Chop from 051. Chop later cooperated with police and pointed out the shooter, Win, a Titanic stone from 46. Win ended up with a 20-year sentence for the shooting. The cycle of retaliation continued a month later, when Buckshot from THF killed Big Freaky from Drek's side, who was closely affiliated with 051. Some debate whether Freaky was officially YM, but the motive was clear: he was tied to their circle. Buckshot was arrested but ended up beating the case. The war didn't slow down. 3 months later, 051 struck again. This time, Lil Marc allegedly killed Lil Tony, a 46 affiliate, with T Streets driving the car during the hit. Only hours after Tony's death, 46 members Bra and Buckshot retaliated by killing Zoo from Met Boys. Both were arrested for the murder but walked free after beating the case. In 2009, THF's top dog Bezu, along with Bra, allegedly killed Dominic from Touch Money, also known as Dirty Low, who was affiliated with 051. Years later, in 2014, Bezu was arrested for the murder and sat locked up for 3 years while waiting for trial. In the end, he walked free due to lack of evidence. The bloodshed didn't stop there. By 2012, the war between 051 and THF was still raging, and 2 more lives were lost that year. In May, Bob O from THF46 allegedly killed Lil Chief. The story goes that Bob O caught him slipping in an alley on the 5000 block of South St. Lawrence Avenue in the Bronzeville area. He shot Lil Chief multiple times in the chest with a .45 caliber pistol, leaving him dead on the spot. Not long after, 051 struck back. Lil Mick and Rockhead allegedly caught Black from THF46 and killed him in retaliation. The back-and-forth murders were becoming relentless, each side losing members and immediately looking to even the score. And this was only part of the picture, since at the same time 051 was also locked in a deadly war with 600. – 2013 brought another major loss for 051, this time one of their females. She was known as Big A, the sister of 051 Ario. Big A had a reputation for being active in the streets, allegedly serving as a driver on multiple hits. Rumors tied her to the death of L'A Capone and possibly other murders. Her run came to an end when she was shot and killed at a gas station, allegedly by Bezu and Gucci de Manis from THF. But the pain for 051 had already started a year earlier. In June 2012, during their heated war with 600, they lost one of their most beloved members, Fathead, also known as Fats. He was Montana's younger brother and close to Melly, making his death one of the heaviest blows Young Money ever took. Fats was only 14 years old when he was gunned down at Southside Hamilton Park, a loss that hit the entire set hard. The death of Fathead, or Fats, in 2012 carried layers of street politics and retaliation. Rumors at first said L'A Capone was the driver during the hit, and Fats' cousin Erica, who was with him at the time, claimed she recognized him. The story goes that a van pulled up, with C-Dye firing the fatal shots. Some claimed Rondo No. 9 and D. Rose were in the van as well. Later reports told a different story. Police documents and witnesses pointed to Escalates as the actual driver, with OJ firing the first shots that dropped Fats. After that, C-Dye allegedly walked up and finished the job with 6 or 7 bullets to the head. In the chaos, C-Dye even dropped his phone at the scene but somehow avoided consequences. Word on the streets was that Escalates and OJ cooperated with police. The killing left 051 reeling. Fats wasn't just Montana's little brother, he was loved and respected across Young Money, and losing him at only 14 was crushing. 5 months later, in November 2012, 051 retaliated. Kiddo allegedly killed Trix from 600, though Trix was already rumored to have been kicked out of his set for snitching on fellow member Dro Philly. Still, YM wanted a bigger body for revenge, something that would send a stronger message. According to the streets, what really led to Fats' death was a murder that Kiddo and Melly had carried out earlier that year. The victim was Shaq, a member of 600 and close to C-Dye. Some say Fats bragged about being the one who killed Shaq, and that's why C-Dye made it his mission to take him out. Shaq's death marked a key turning point. It was rumored to be Melly's first body, and he allegedly committed it with Kiddo. On February 2, 2012, Shaq was at a party, enjoying himself. At some point, he stepped outside to take a piss. That's when Melly and Kiddo pulled up and shot him down. Later, Melly even hinted at the murder in a video, mocking the way Shaq died, saying he was caught while taking a piss and clowning him for ending up dead by a garbage can. A year after Fathead's death, and just 2 months before Big A was killed, 051 was still hungry to get back at 600. They wanted a big hit, something that would make 600 feel the pain they had caused. That opportunity came when Lil Marc and Rockhead from 051 targeted L'A Capone, one of 600's most promising and well-loved members. As La was leaving a studio session, they ambushed him, hitting him with multiple shots in the lower back and thigh. He was rushed to the hospital in critical condition, but the injuries were too severe, and he later died. The news shook the city. La was deeply loved by his homies in 600, as well as allies like Lil Durk, O'Block, 300, and many others who mourned his death. While 051 celebrated, it was said that Lil Marc taunted La before opening fire, telling him, "You can't run now." Lil Marc was eventually convicted and sentenced to 60 years. He ended up in the same prison as Rondo and C-Dye. At one point, both of them tried to stab him with a knife, but he managed to escape unharmed. Law's death also pushed C-Dye and Rondo over the edge. In their rage, they killed a cab driver they believed was involved. Both were arrested and are now serving 35-year sentences. The loss of Law left 600 desperate for revenge. They struck back by killing Polo from 051, with Lil Boo being the alleged shooter. But compared to the impact of losing L'A Capone, Polo's death felt like a much smaller hit. Word on the streets was that L'A's setup came from Hard Knock, a member of 757. Another detail that made his death more tragic was that he was taken to a hospital too far from the scene. On top of that, he had already been shot in the same leg a year earlier by Boss Drell, which made his injuries even worse this time around. Like I mentioned earlier, L'A Capone's death wasn't just a huge loss for 600, it hit all their allies too. So while 600 was looking to get payback, THF46 also had their sights set on 051, and the two sets linked up to make a move. In March 2014, Lil Marc from 051 poured fuel on the fire when he dropped a diss track called No Competition, a remix of Lil Durk's song. In it, he dissed multiple dead members from 600, OTF, and Lamron, including L'A Capone. The lyrics had him mocking fallen names like Baldy, Mosky, Tasky, Lil Rob, and even Tricks, while taking shots at D-Thang, OD, Kata, and more. The disrespect was blatant, and the track stirred up serious heat in the streets. At the same time, Lil Marc was already wanted for allegedly shooting THF's Twilla in the neck. Just 3 days after the No Competition video dropped, Marc and Lil from 051 went out looking for THF members to kill. They didn't find anyone, so Marc ended up waiting at a bus stop. That's when a van pulled up with D. Rose from 600, THF's Twilla, along with D. Roy and King Von. D. Rose fired the first shot, shattering the glass, and chaos broke out. Lil managed to escape, but Marc wouldn't be as lucky. As mentioned earlier, just days before his death, Lil Marc had a close call at the same bus stop where he was ultimately killed. However, this wasn't the only time he had been caught at a bus stop. Back in December 2010, Marc, then 16, was involved in another incident at a CTA bus stop near 82nd and Cottage Grove. Allegedly, Tracy from THF46 spotted Marc at the stop and opened fire. Marc returned fire, but Tracy's shot struck him first. Marc was taken to the hospital to treat his gunshot wound and was later charged with unlawful use of a weapon. Shortly after, Tracy was arrested and charged with aggravated battery with a firearm. As mentioned earlier, Lil Marc's killing was a coordinated effort between 600, O-Block, and THF46. THF and 600 had long been allies through a Black Disciple alliance that included Lamron, O-Block, Blackgate, Timb, and 600. Their bond only grew stronger once 600's beef with 051 escalated, giving them a shared enemy. Even before 600 and 46 were both at war with Young Money, 600 had a long-standing feud with Gyro City, which was aligned with 051 through the Lake Park Alliance, including 051 Young Money, TTB, aka Suwoo, 757, 800, and Gyro City. The murder of Lil Marc was a major win for THF46 in their ongoing war against 051, and it also served as revenge for L'A Capone for 600. 051 mourned Lil Marc heavily, and the streets knew retaliation was coming. Adding insult to injury, Lil Durk posted a video showing the bus stop where Lil Marc was killed, mocking him and openly clowning him. The disrespect was too much for 051 to ignore. Just days after Durk's video dropped in May 2014, 051 Melly retaliated by killing Durk's cousin Nusky, sending a clear message that 051 would answer any slight with lethal force. By this point, Melly was positioning himself as one of Lil Durk's biggest tops. 051 was also plotting more hits against 600. In April 2015, Uchi and Melly targeted one of 600's founders. Uchi pulled up in a car and shot Lil Boo, whose body fell under the vehicle. After that, 600's ops began referring to him as Tirehead. Days later, a member of 600, rumored to be Bitedown, currently incarcerated and accused of murdering his girlfriend, killed an individual known as Chinao, or Chinaman. There's debate over whether Chinao was actually affiliated with 051, as some claim he was part of Circon City, a powerful GD set on Chicago's east side with no history with 600. Regardless, it is widely accepted that his killing was retaliatory, aimed at 051. By April 2017, Chinao was the last body directly linked to the 600 vs. 051 conflict. Meanwhile, Melly continued escalating the war with Lil Durk and his allies. In March 2015, he killed OTF Chino, Lil Durk's manager and a member of THF46. The hit was reportedly meant to provoke Durk, who had been openly disrespecting 051, mocking Lil Marc in videos and releasing a Finito remix threatening Young Money. Melly even posted a video on Twitter directly addressing Durk, calling him a fake gangster and mocking his claims of being capable of the violence he talked about. Days later, Chino was killed, and Melly continued the disrespect by going on Instagram Live, eating a burger, and calling it a Chino burger, laughing at the killing. Up to this point, THF46 had more bodies on 051 than the other way around. But in the coming years, 051, especially Melly, would start turning the scoreboard. Known as the gang's top shooter, he began taking out rivals relentlessly, earning the nickname the Grave Digger for the string of bodies he left behind. It wasn't long before another shooting erupted. Bezu's stepson, Raheem, decided to step up and target Melly. At the time, Raheem was only around 14 or 15 years old. Not only was he Bezu's stepson, but he was also Duck's cousin, and Duck and Melly were close friends. It's said that Duck warned Raheem not to go through with it, but he didn't listen. Raheem shot at Melly, hitting him in the foot, and allegedly grazing his head. The shot to the head is said to have come from TP, an older member present with Raheem at the time. Melly survived, but as anyone would, he was furious and prepared to retaliate. Raheem had also shot Ario from 051 in the shoulder, so he should have known revenge was coming. 2 weeks later, Ario and Melly were driving when they spotted Raheem in an alley. Raheem was killed on the spot. It's unclear who fired the fatal shots, some say Melly, some say Ario, but both were present. Legally, Ario was charged for the murder, suggesting the evidence points more toward him. Still, Melly is credited for the hit as well, either for being involved in the shooting or for firing some of the shots himself. A few details about the murder clarify how it went down. It happened in the Bronzeville neighborhood. Raheem was with Twin that day, both of them outside on the 4400 block of South Cottage Grove Avenue. Ario and Melly opened fire from a car. Raheem was shot in the back and ran into a nearby alley, where he collapsed and died. Twin was hit in the foot but survived. He was taken to Cumber Children's Hospital, where his condition was stabilized. The death of Raheem was a heavy blow for Bezu, who was in prison at the time and very fond of his stepson. It was also a difficult moment for FBG Duck, as Raheem was his little blood cousin. Duck understood that it was part of the ongoing war, and he stayed cool with Melly despite the tension, knowing Melly had been shot by Raheem and that retaliation was inevitable. Duck even attended Raheem's funeral, despite many of THF46's main shooters being present. Nothing happened at the ceremony, as THF46 respected and loved Raheem, and the family surrounded Duck for protection. Melly later mocked Raheem's murder to Bezu on an Instagram Live, further fueling the tension between the sets. As is often the case after a murder, retaliation followed quickly. 051 had caught Raheem, which was a major loss for Bezu and THF46. Naturally, THF was eager to respond and avenge his death. In August 2015, Westbrook from THF46 allegedly caught Wank from 051 and killed him. Wank was an OG from 051 and 35 years old at the time, making his death a heavy blow for Young Money. He was reportedly shot while walking in Kenwood, near the 4900 block of South Drexel, around 8:30 p.m. A white SUV pulled up, and the front passenger, allegedly Westbrook, exited the vehicle, pulled a handgun, and fired multiple shots. Witnesses say he then ran back to the SUV, which sped away northbound. Authorities reported that Wank suffered gunshot wounds to his back and arm. Emergency services rushed him to Northwestern Memorial Hospital, but he was pronounced dead at 9:04 p.m. Wank's murder was another significant loss for 051 and marked another step in the escalating cycle of violence between the two sets. A little over a month later, in September 2015, another tragic shooting occurred. A young teen named Taiwan was killed in the Kenwood neighborhood while out playing basketball with friends. His mother had been hesitant to let him go, warning him to be careful given how dangerous the area had become, but Taiwan insisted. That evening, around 7:30 p.m., Taiwan and a friend were walking on the 4400 block of South Greenwood when a car drove by and opened fire. Taiwan was struck in the head and died instantly at the scene. His friend was hit twice in the leg and rushed to the University of Chicago Cumber Children's Hospital, where his condition stabilized. The alleged shooter was Arrow. Some say Taiwan was just an innocent bystander, possibly mistaken for someone affiliated with THF46. Others suggest he may have hung out with certain members but was not an active participant in the gang conflict. Reports indicate Arrow may have been looking for THF46 members who might have been celebrating Raheem's birthday that Saturday, as he would have turned 16. Taiwan's death was one of the many tragic mistakes in the ongoing cycle of retaliation between 051 Young Money and THF46. The following year, 2016, continued the cycle of violence between 051 Young Money and THF46. Over the course of the year, 4 murders would take place, though some might not count Taiwan's death as a direct gang hit, but it was undeniably fueled by the ongoing conflict. The first major killing occurred on June 10, 2016, when T. Berg from 051 Young Money was shot in Englewood. He was walking on the 200 block of West Garfield Boulevard when Roman Tracy from THF46 allegedly approached looking for ops. Around 8:45 p.m., according to Chicago police spokeswoman Officer Barry Lemon, the two men opened fire. T. Berg was struck multiple times and sustained numerous gunshot wounds. Emergency services rushed him to Northwestern Memorial Hospital, but he was pronounced dead at 10:35 p.m. No arrests were made in connection with T. Berg's murder, so Roman and Tracy remain alleged killers. Another 27-year-old man was also shot in the chest and leg during the incident, but he was brought to the hospital in time and stabilized. The incident drew attention on social media as well. In a live stream, Drilla from 051 and Tracy from THF46 were seen, with Tracy claiming T. Berg's body and yelling his name. Drilla reacted strongly, saying, "He's going to jail." Whether this was just trash talk or something more will never be confirmed, but Drilla's reaction made it seem as if he had some connection to the situation, though he is only alleged in relation to the murder. In November 2016, 051 Melly struck again, targeting THF46. Melly had already built a reputation as one of 051's most notorious shooters, known not for music but for his actions on the streets. That month, the victim was Trayvon from THF46. The killing occurred on November 30th, around 8:05 p.m., on the 6800 block of South Cornell in South Shore. Trayvon, who also claimed Marvin World, lived just a few houses away from Melly on the 6400 block of South Ellis, in Snow Block territory. Police found Trayvon's body in a gangway with gunshot wounds to the head and stomach. It's unclear whether Melly followed Trayvon from his home or caught him while he was in Mall Town, where Melly had strong ties and often hung out. Rumors also suggest that TTB Nez may have been present during the hit. THF46 retaliated quickly. On December 2, 2015, a shooting occurred in East Hyde Park. Sean Mack, a 33-year-old member of 051, was walking through a park on the 5400 block of South Cornell when Rome from THF46 allegedly pulled up behind him and shot him, wearing a mask during the attack. The next major killing occurred in 2017, when Bobo from THF46 was targeted. Bobo was a top-ranked member of THF46 and had been in prison since 2015 on armed robbery and murder charges. In March 2017, he beat his case and was released from Cook County Jail. Minutes after leaving, Bobo was picked up by friends. As they drove away, a white car pulled up, carrying Rose, Uchi, KD, and Kurt Mack, who opened fire on Bobo's vehicle. He was struck multiple times and died immediately. Bobo's legal history was significant. In 2015, he allegedly shot a man during a robbery and robbed another hours later. The man he shot died weeks after the incident, but Bobo beat the murder charge because prosecutors failed to provide a speedy trial. The robbery charges remained, and he was held on a $100,000 bond. Tragically, despite warnings from his attorney, a longtime family friend who had advised him to leave the neighborhood immediately upon release, Bobo was killed just minutes after leaving jail. During the chaos, the car Rose and Uchi were in ran a red light and crashed into another vehicle, forcing them to flee the scene on foot. Bobo's death was another devastating blow to THF46 and further intensified the ongoing conflict between the sets. Bobo's attorney also commented that this wasn't the first time something like this had happened, but he was shocked at how quickly word got out about Bobo's impending release. The murder and robbery charges Bobo faced were not gang-related. The man who was shot, Sorrel Marshall, died 3 weeks after the incident. The murder charge wasn't filed until nearly a year later, in April 2016, and it was unclear why prosecutors waited so long. Initially, the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office did not rule Marshall's death a homicide, marking the case as pending further investigation. Meanwhile, the clock under the state's speedy trial statute had already started ticking on the attempted murder charges. Since the later murder charges were based on the same set of facts, the clock did not reset, and prosecutors ultimately had no choice but to drop the charges. The shooting itself occurred after Marshall dropped off his girlfriend near her apartment at 37th and Vincennes. He parked, and Bobo, along with another person, allegedly attempted to rob him, shooting him in the leg and groin. Marshall eventually died from his injuries, but the case's legal timeline allowed Bobo to beat the murder charges before his release, only for him to be killed minutes later. How Uchi, Rose, KD, and Kurt Mack found out about Bobo's release remains unclear. Some speculate that someone set them up or leaked the information onto the streets, but the exact source is unknown. 051 Young Money, more specifically Uchi and Rose, the alleged shooters, were reportedly proud of the hit. Bobo had been a major menace in the streets, and 051 had often dissed him. Taking him out was considered a significant score, and the gang appeared satisfied with the outcome. By 2019, the focus began to shift as 051 Young Money's conflicts extended to their allies. One of the biggest losses Young Money would face was the death of 051 Melly. As mentioned earlier, DB, Motor, Melly, and FBG Duck had been key links between their respective sets, 051, Taekwon World, Jaro City, and STL/EBT. Tensions began rising primarily between 051 and Taekwon World after Melly and Nate started beefing over dice games. Melly allegedly opened fire toward Nate's house, where his baby mama and newborn were present, but fortunately, no one was hurt. That incident escalated the conflict, and retaliation was inevitable. In September 2019, Melly attended a party with 051 members Lil Greg and Shawnees, a few Jaro City members, and FBG Duck, after one of Duck's friends had passed away. He was warned to be careful, as some ops might secretly show up, but Melly didn't take the warning seriously. It wasn't a planned setup, he was simply lacking awareness. Nate found out the party location, and he went with Dro, opening fire on the gathering. Melly was caught in the attack, marking a pivotal moment in the escalating violence and ultimately leading to his death. Today, 051 Young Money primarily operates around Geo Drive near 51st and Calumet, rather than their old spots on Cottage Grove and Drexel, largely due to gentrification in Kenwood and Hyde Park. Despite over a decade of activity, they remain active and now face new rivals, including the OTV 029 set. In 2021, 051 Young Money lost only one member, Papa from EFG, the younger generation of 5200 Drexside. He was shot and killed on August 14th in Hyde Park. Papa was close with 051 Young Money, and members attended his funeral, as EFG maintained good relations with Young Money despite ongoing conflicts involving the older generation. The following year, 2022, brought two major losses for 051 Young Money. Lil Law was shot and killed by THF46 on June 30th while walking through their neighborhood. Later, Remy was shot and killed on September 23rd by OTV 029, sparking a new war between 051 YM and OTV. In 2023, Kiddo Dadrilla was released from prison after serving over 10 years since November 2012. However, 051 Young Money suffered another loss on August 1st, when Mineski was stabbed and killed out of town. The year 2024 marked the loss of one of 051 Young Money's original members, Mills. He had been released in May after 8 years behind bars since 2016 but was killed on September 9, 2024. Mills was also the brother of Lil Law, who had been killed a few years prior, adding to the string of tragic losses the gang has endured. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Stay safe, and may God bless you all. Let me know what you want to see next.